where the church were kind of forcing the new Christians to follow Mosaic laws. And then Paul was like, oh no, that's not right.
Welcome back, everyone. We are looking back at this past week's Sunday readings and looking ahead to next Sunday's readings. We know that most people attending Mass don't look ahead to the readings they'll be hearing. So I hope you'll find our little show fun and useful, especially if you're looking to connect more to the Bible readings during Mass. My name is Vincent and my buddy's name is Roy. We've been friends since childhood and we both volunteer at different churches as lectors, or the guys who read at Mass. We'll offer our thoughts on the readings as well as share some fun stories about volunteering at church and everyday life. Okay, let's get started. All right, what's new with you since last week?
Happy late 4th of July. And also, as you mentioned in one of our text chains, it is the Filipino Friendship Day on July 4th as well. Again, important to love your neighbors. Spoiler alert. And for that occasion, I'm wearing
your Philippine shirt. Oh, nice. Oh, nice.
It's the Filipino Heritage Day shirt that I got. What's up with you?
Yeah, so we had a pretty low-key 4th of July. We watched the Great America fireworks from the front yard, the great neighborhood tradition. We also went out for my dad's birthday, which was over the weekend, to a fancy-ish Korean BBQ joint that he's been eyeing for a while now. And my dad never has suggestions for where to eat. He's like the dad who's always like, anywhere, you guys pick, right? But this time, I called him up and he's like, hey, I want to go to Baekjeong in Valley Fair, the Korean barbecue place there. And like he was like dead set on it too. I'm like, okay, we're going there. And even before we looked at the menu, he's like, it was funny. He said, I want the galbi. Make sure you get the galbi. Get whatever you guys want, but be sure to order the galbi and don't confuse it with the bulgogi. I'm like, all right, you know. So we got exactly what he wanted. And of course, everyone loved it. I think I've been watching too many Korean dramas. And then I got my parents and my mother-in-law to do shots of soju and my sister too. It's really lightweight stuff. So that was fun.
I forgot to mention, we actually also went to Great America to watch fireworks, but we were able to watch it from the little amphitheater that they had there.
Oh, sweet.
So it was awesome. It was like right above our heads. So that was a first. Like all this time, however many times they've had the fireworks, the first time I actually was in Great America with the fireworks.
Yeah. All right, looking ahead, the first reading is from Deuteronomy. And it talks about how God's commands are not far away from us. They're right here in front of us. All we have to do is listen and carry them out. There's no quote-unquote guessing game that God is playing with us here. For the responsorial, there are two different options. One is Psalm 69, which says, turn to the Lord in your need and you will live. And the other option is Psalm 19, your words, Lord, are spirit and life. Then the second reading is from the letter to the Colossians, describing that Jesus is of God, right? The firstborn of creation, the head of the body, which is the church. You'll hear things like the visible and invisible, which we say in the Creed every Mass. You'll also hear similar words to through him all things were made. And finally, in the Gospel, Luke chapter 10, we'll find a scholar in the temple who wishes to debate Jesus and brought up the famous question, and who is my neighbor? To which Jesus replied back with the famous parable of the Good Samaritan. So this week we are going to listen to the Good Samaritan parable from Jesus.
Quick slight modification to the new segment that I had, which I think is good to give context to the readings. I also think as readers that we should know a bit of the context so we could be a little bit more in depth of how we read it and have a better understanding of why these readings are the way they are. And so the new segment will be concepts, the world woven word. Okay, so with that being said, I want to give a little bit of context to the upcoming reading. So first, this is where Moses gives the second law to the second generation who's traveled in the wilderness. Remember, the first generation is gone. Now the second generation is going to take up New Israel. He prays the Shema, meaning listen. Or part of it goes, hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord alone. So therefore, You shall love the Lord your God with all of your heart, all of your soul, and all of your might. The middle part, it gives all the laws. And then in Sunday's reading, which is towards the end of Deuteronomy, where it summarizes most of the important parts about listening and obeying God's law with all of your heart and all of your soul. In the Psalm, it talks about it's the law of the Lord is perfect. In the Gospel, it's about the greatest law, where you love God with all of yourself and then love your neighbor as yourself. On the second reading, this is where Paul puts it all together. So Jesus is the image of the invisible God. He is the head and we are, the church are the body. So this might be a long syllogism, but since Jesus is the image of God and he is the head and we are church, his body, we must love Jesus with all of ourselves because he's God. And we must love our neighbor because we make up the body of Christ. So to love God is to obey his law, which can be summarized by loving him, head and body. Thus, if you love God, you must love his body or our neighbors as you love yourself.
Yeah, I think
so hopefully that gives a good context for those who read.
It's another one of those things where we somewhat take for granted the image of the church being the body of Christ. My favorite passage is we are many parts, we are all one body. How you have like body parts fighting against each other. Unfortunately, the body goes through sickness and things like that, but it's important to not lose sight of that communion. All right, let's do a look back at the previous week's readings. What do you got?
Basically, the context of everything is that we're rejoicing of what God provides through the gifts of this earth. So with the first reading, again, the context of this is during the exile. So they are kind of longing for the old Jerusalem while hoping for the new Jerusalem to be built. So for the second reading, this is the closing of the letter to the Galatians, where the church were kind of forcing the new Christians to follow Mosaic laws. And then Paul was like, oh no, that's not right. They're trying to convince them that they don't have to because of Jesus. And Jesus is the new law of Moses.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting too in The Chosen when he goes, we must follow the law of Moses, meaning they have to stone him. And he's like, he went straight to their face, I am the law of Moses.
Yeah. That's a big deal because like you hold on to that for thousands of years. Like, wait a minute, are you doing away with the law? And like, no, he was fulfilling the law. And it's a big mind shift to them. The law of Moses was everything to them.
All right, and then so the last thing is the Gospels. Again, one little thing you could see is the 72, which can be referenced to how Moses kind of helped distribute his administration to not just because he was so tired, and his father-in-law was like, dude, you gotta get people to help you get stuff off your plate. In the reading, it also mentioned about how the disciples were able to walk over serpents. Again, the context here is where in Genesis, the offspring of Eve will be able to crush the serpent with his feet. His disciples, they're able to crush the serpent with their feet.
Good connection there. All right, how would you read this snippet? I'm grabbing this one from the first reading in Deuteronomy.
So it says, proclaim these words in a voice that highlights God's graciousness. God's commands are near so that the people need not guess what the Lord requires of them.
Preparing the notes and reading this again totally emphasizes hey, the law is right in front of you. It's Jesus. The law isn't something to be reached or something far away. It's right here in front of you. So, I'm going to read it. For this command that I enjoin on you today is not too mysterious and remote for you. It is not up in the sky that you should say, who will go up in the sky to get it for us and tell us of it that we may carry it out? Nor is it across the sea that you should say, who will cross the sea to get it for us and tell us of it that we may carry it out? No, it is something very near to you, already in your mouths and in your hearts. You have only to carry it out. So that's the snippet from Deuteronomy, and that really emphasizes the nearness of God to us. It's not something distant.
I forgot which state said this. Basically, your conscience is the aboriginal vicar of Christ. So close to you. It's your conscience. It's literally in you.
You don't know which saint said that? Now I'm curious to look that up. John Henry Newman?
Oh, okay, there you go. Yeah, that sounds right.
Who, if someone fact check me on this, he converted from being an Anglican to a Roman Catholic. He was not during Henry VIII's time. Yeah. That's Thomas More and
Thomas More. Yes,
Thomas More and all them. Those guys were dope. I like those guys. Have you ever seen A Man for All Seasons?
I want to see that. Bishop Barron keeps mentioning that movie, and I'm like, I have no place to see it. I go to the library and get the
old VHS tape. Sometimes I contemplate how, like, if Henry VIII's son or one of his early sons who was born, but I guess he died in infancy, or if that didn't happen, like, that changes so much course of Western history. It's crazy.
It's crazy.
It's crazy, isn't it? Like, because Henry VIII, none of his wives could bear a son. One of these days, hopefully, God willing, we get to heaven. Like, question about the Henry VIII thing. What is up with that? Like, it's a moot point now, but I'm just curious. Like, let me know what it was. Yeah. What was the plan here? What was the play? I don't feel like opening up a can of worms with our Anglican brothers and sisters.
No, right? I'm just saying, if that didn't happen, then they wouldn't have, like, the Pilgrims who wanted to get away from England, and then they wouldn't come here to United States, and then they brought their religion. And
Pilgrims who fled there to come here, they weren't Catholic either.
No, but they wanted to get away from.
Right,
from all the craziness that was happening there.
Yeah. There should be a Southwest commercial with some pilgrims who are trying to escape, like, whatever it is in their old country. I'm like, we want to get away, and they land on Plymouth Rock and think
with, their car, the hoods, and want to get away.
Bing! Southwest sponsorship. Okay, how was it? I hope you got some positive takeaways from this. Leave your thoughts below in the comments, and don't just like and subscribe, but also click that share button and share this with your family and friends as well. Take care and God bless.
The concept. Oh, time out.
Blooper reel.